What's up, everybody? Welcome into today's episode of Pushing the Pile, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Mike Renner, JP Acosta, Kyle Long. Big show for you guys today. As always, on Wednesdays, we do our power tiers. Going through those, we do our other tiers, which today is going to be Defensive Player of the Year candidates. Excited to talk that one. Kyle's pick preseason, if you guys remember. It's looking pretty good, Kyle. Do you remember what it was?
Let's go check it out. You'll have to stay into this episode. Let's not give it away right now.
Thursday night preview at the end. But first off the ball here, Brandon Graham coming out of retirement for the Philadelphia Eagles. We hinted at it yesterday. It was for real. It was like him announcing on a podcast. So I wasn't sure the actual veracity of it. But it's true. The 37-year-old's back. He had 20 pressures last year on 168 pass rushing snaps. Do we think this moves the needle for the Eagles?
I just kind of think it's pretty cool. I don't know if it moves the needle for the Eagles, but they do need that depth, especially after Zadarius Smith retired. Nolan Smith is still on IR, and you just really don't trust all the other edge players. You have to move Jihad Campbell to edge so you can get Jihad Campbell, Zach Bond, and Nakobe Dean on the field at the same time. It feels like you're trying to put in a lot of rotating, moving parts. But where Brandon Graham's going to help is setting the edge in the run game, being a physical player there. It's just going to be very funny because it feels like the unction memes have started to pick up a little more steam, especially after Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers went out and had the unction on Thursday night. So the washed anthem is going to be playing a lot for Brandon Graham when he comes back.
The difference between the unks at the quarterback position and the unk that is BG, the ultimate triple OG, shout out to Brandon Graham. I hated competing against this guy because he was just like, he would beat your ass with a smile on his face the entire time. Such a great player. But when I think about his role in this Philadelphia Eagles season, it's going to be setting the edge off the field, in the meeting rooms, being a guy that is holding younger players accountable. And we know that they're wildly talented in Philadelphia, and we know that the ceiling, there is no ceiling. The sky's the limit for a lot of these guys. But to have BG in the building is going to be massive for the Eagles. And Nick Sirianni, this is a smart move by him. And if this is what BG wants, we're going to get to see maybe some vintage BG playoff reps eventually. That's really where they're hoping they can cash in on this move.
Kyle, this giving you the itch to make a similar announcement?
Absolutely not. Are you going to let me rush the passer? Can I play tight end?
You play D-end in
I'll play goal line
school.
tight end. I promise you I'd score, but I am very comfortable in my chair here. I'm very comfortable on Sunday and sometimes Fridays for CBS. So this is I like my gig.
I think it does move the needle, truthfully. I think he's still got some juice in the tank. And edge rushers like him, power guys, they age gracefully. I mean, Terrell Suggs played till he was 37, and they're very similar type of rushers. I think what we saw from him last year prior to the triceps, obviously the Super Bowl was like formality. He played like 13 snaps, but I think he's still going to add a little juice.
And he loves ball, Mike. Loving ball the way that Brandon Graham does moves the needle, not only for him, but anybody that's around him. Everybody will be better because of BG. And that's why I think it's the culture move of culture moves right there.
All right, another interesting storyline here. Dre Greenlaw, after his very first game back from a quadriceps injury for the Denver Broncos after signing a big deal this offseason, he gets suspended a game for threatening the referee after the game, after the field goal went through. The referee threw the flag. It was quite the scene. If you haven't seen the video, it's actually hilarious. But how dumb is this? How dumb are you to get suspended after a game? Game's over.
This is very dumb. But you know what? It's not as dumb as if he did it during the game and cost his team the football game. Luckily for him, he was smart enough to wait until after the game. And now he has to deal with all the issues there. And I'm sure JP has a million really smart takes on it. But as a player, if he's pissed off enough to sprint over to a referee, I give him credit for waiting for the end of the game. But once I read that he's suspended and not just fined heavily, it becomes a team issue. It's a selfish move. Move on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick used to say.
So I do wonder what happened between Dre Greenlaw and the ref. I think the ref was Brad Allen, because a lot of what might have happened there was it's either because of the DPI that wasn't actually DPI on Riley Moss, which fair, but also you won the game. There's a whole nother drive after that where the game ended. Like, okay, relax. Or it could have been after the game-winning field goal was kicked. A lot of Denver fans are saying that the referee shoved Justice Sternad to kind of get him out the way as they were celebrating, and Dre Greenlaw didn't appreciate that, so he went and chased him down, which, again, everything about this is very funny. And I think for Greenlaw, it's better that you did it after the game, and, like, the ref throwing the flag after the game, even though it wasn't going to impact said game at all, is very funny. So it's just, yeah, he's working on second nature. So
throws the flag as wife mid argument. Just like, that's uncalled for. Too far.
Unnecessary roughness.
Yeah.
I'm just watching this video. It's insane. Like, what a scene, such a positive high. The huddle there is just absolutely celebratory. And then you see Greenlaw come running in, not even helmet on, like full. I want you to see what I'm saying to you, Mr. Referee. I want you to understand how I feel. And like, we've all been here as a player, but you have to have the wherewithal to, if you are going to chirp, make it quick. Don't make it out in the open. This is brutal because now he's not playing.
Also, don't chase him down.
That looks aggressive.
Yeah, you can't go on like a whole side quest against a referee at this point in the game. Like, the game's over. Your side quest is completed. Main quest over. There's no way you can do the side quest during the mission. Like, if you're playing a video game and you beat the level, you can't go and do the side quest during the level after you beat the main quest. Go back to the main menu for this one. So it's tough because he's gonna miss the Cowboys game, which, as we know, the Cowboys have a great offense. But I just think this is all like incredibly funny.
Yeah, if you're the NFL though, like, you got to suspend a guy for that. You can't just have it be open season, because I think the reason why he did it after the game was because of what Kyle said. There's usually no ramifications. What can you do to me after the game? Throw a flag?
Yeah.
Which you did, but like, it ain't gonna matter, right? The game's over.
Gotcha.
So like, you do have to prevent this in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's justified.
It was bad enough to where his teammate 51 Robinson's got him by the shoulder pads. He's like, "Hey buddy, we got to get out of here. Like, I hope we can get out of this bar without getting in trouble, because what you just said is you are banned from this bar."
Holding back, trying to get your friend to leave a bar when he doesn't want to leave a bar, and he's like fighting with the bouncer, is probably one of the worst spots to be in. Regrettably been there a few times and never again, thankfully. All right, last one here. Jets owner Woody Johnson drags Justin Fields, saying, if we could complete a pass, it would look good. You paid him $20 million this offseason per year, 2-year deal. Rare to see an owner take that direct of a shot at a quarterback.
This is a wild thing to say about a player that's still under contract with you. Yeah. Like, it'd be like, we would look at this a lot differently if Justin Fields was not still on the team. But imagine being Justin Fields. You are in the middle of trying to fight for your job, and the owner publicly like takes a shot at you. I don't care whether he's like right or not in what he's saying. Like, if the quarterback could complete a pass, we win more games. Like, I don't care about like whether he's right or not. You can't say that publicly. Like, you can't go and like throw your active starting quarterback under the bus in the middle of just like a random like owners meeting. Like, it feels like every bad thing that you say about the Jets when it comes to like just the dysfunction in the front office, the dysfunction among the ownership. It feels like it's true, because what are we doing here? Like, this is not a good thing to say about the player you chose. It's not like it's not like they were saddled to Justin Fields before the season. Like, they had no choice but to play him. They chose to make him his quarterback. So nobody here is blameless.
It feels like exactly what you're saying was what was on my mind. If I've never played in New York, but I've worked in New York and I've been around the city. I know how crazy it is. And I can only imagine the media market that you have to deal with. This is exactly what you imagine. It's like not even a high stakes interview, to your point, JP. It's some BS owner's media day, and he's saying these awful things about your guy that's under contract who's out there in that picture. Harry, can you pull that picture back up of Justin Fields? He's not only just like, he's not punting the ball. He's out there getting this done to him every Sunday. Like it is not only bad ball by Woody Johnson, it's the worst ball. And it's evident that he is out of touch with his constituents, as it were. JP, I don't even know the word. I mean, it feels so like it's like there's no human element to this.
To me,
that's what Woody's missing. And yeah, Justin Fields didn't take the next step, and he still has issues processing, and that's why he takes sacks, and he has taken sacks. But like, you design the offense to be able to run the football. He completes the ball at an NFL level 64, 65%, right? It's not terrible, but he's not going down the field. He doesn't have the ability to do things Drake May can do. So adjust. You made hires at the coordinator position. You've got Aaron Glenn, former Jet, as the head coach. You're doting him in the media. Like, just say nothing about your quarterback. Dote on your coach, who is going through a tough stretch. And people are asking me at CBS, are they going to go winless this season? And, you know, these are tough conversations to have, but dote on that guy, Aaron Glenn, instead of killing Justin Fields, who's handled it the right way, by the way. If you go listen to Justin Fields, that's how you handle hard times.
To me, this is just indicative of, you wonder why some franchises are the way they are, right? Like, why do some franchises, why do they consistently exceed expectations? Why do they consistently have players play better there than they do in other spots? And then you have the flip side, which the Jets obviously belong on the flip side. And it's like, it's hard as an outsider to quite understand why that's the case. You know, you don't see why that's the case because a lot of it happens behind closed doors. But then you see something like this and you're like, no good owner would ever just do this. I don't care how bad things are going. That's just, if you're trashing players on your current roster that in this manner, who's going to want to play for you? You know that if it starts from the top like this, it's going to filter down to the bottom and get even worse by the time it gets there. So this to me is just one of those things that if you're a good organization, if you're a good owner, if you just don't do or say things like this, even if, as true as it could be, if Justin Fields is not playing well, there's a lot of guys not playing well on this roster. It's not just on him this year. So I just find this to be very indicative of the larger problems that have plagued the Jets for years in the Woody Johnson era.
It's so easy to just say, you know, we're going through a rough stretch right now, but I have full trust in our head coach to turn the ship around. And I have full trust in what he's doing with our players. Boom. That's all you have to say. That's
we
don't create a controversy.
Something here. We pride ourselves on toughness, and you know, we're trying to figure out who we are, and that's the tough part about being in the National Football League. And then shut up.
Boom.
Everybody moves on. You don't create a quote, you don't create a firestorm, and now you just move on.
And then you don't make the Push in the Pile podcast on a random Wednesday in October. It's easy. It's very easy not to make Push in the Pile on a random Wednesday in October. All right. Here's our first off the ball segment. We're going to get to our power tiers right after this.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah. Let's get right into it. Power tiers. New tiers this week. We're going to start with the full rebuild tier. Since everyone's at kind of team building stage with the lower rung of the NFL right now, and with the trade deadline looming, and obviously draft being the year-round thing that it is, this is the time to talk about, you know, where teams that are in this are kind of at. And to me, the full rebuild teams, the teams where it's like, okay, we need, you know, we're in a spot where maybe we can consider really moving on from guys who are still useful, but getting up there in age and won't be a part of this team when it really comes good again, because it's not just 1 year, flip the switch, we could be back next year. It's 2 years, 3 years down the line with some of these cap situations. It's ugly. And it's, to me, it's the Miami Dolphins, the New Orleans Saints, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Tennessee Titans. I hate that I put the Raiders in here. because I had hope for this franchise. But with the Cowboys rumored to be making calls for Max Crosby, I don't think it's crazy to get what you can for a guy. And now he's Raider for life. And he's like a cornerstone, maybe not necessarily him.
Jeez,
but it has not worked.
Sacrilegious when you say it out loud like that. Okay.
It has not worked out with Geno Smith at minimum. So you know the quarterback position, and he was already up there, that it was kind of a Band-Aid fix to begin with. You know that's where it's going to have to start, but there's numerous pieces that need to get added after this. They feel like a team that needs to be willing, at least, to think about a full rebuild.
It sucks for the Raiders because we had so much high hopes for not only the offensive talent, but the coaching that be able to raise the floor for this defense and the offense. But offensively, it just feels like they can't get out of their own way, and part of it is on coaching and development. But I mean, we've seen this team without Brock Bowers, and they have nobody to throw the ball to. And that's not excusing how poor Geno Smith has played, but it's the reality of the situation. You do not have enough talent on this team to really say like you can be a competitive unit at all going forward. So I don't think they should trade Max Crosby, because that would be such a gut punch, not only to the locker room, but to like the franchise overall. You wouldn't have a lot to be hopeful for if you're trading core franchise players. But I expect guys like Jacoby Myers is going to be out of here. And I really think that's it, considering maybe
they just don't have anyone.
Maybe Malcolm Kuntz, if you want to get off of pass rushers. Maybe Tyree Wilson, who's had a pretty good year. So it's tough for the Raiders because this coaching staff has not raised the floor in the way that you thought it would.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a sign of the times when you're even discussing trading Max Crosby and maybe even listening to offers. But it's obviously same ownership, but new voices in the room. And change is inevitable in all these places. And we talked about the Raiders, but the one that sticks out to me is the Dolphins, because we have a Dolphins producer in Harry, and he is a real Dolphins fan. He's a realist, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. And, my producer, Dan Ennis, on Sunday is a massive Dolphins fan, and he is like just beside himself. He's rooting for the Bears actually now. I'm probably not supposed to say that, but his family's like Bears family. They want a winner on Sunday. Who are the guys that the Dolphins? Who are the Dolphins guys? The young guys. I mean, Patrick Paul. Who else? Like when they blow this thing up, who are going to be the survivors when it comes time to reestablish civilization?
I think offensively, you have Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle and Patrick Paul. Those feel like your core, like 3 players on offense.
So they're not trading Waddle this year.
I don't think so. I think it would be, again, if you're trading Waddle and then moving off of Tyreek later on this offseason, you start from nothing in the receiver room, and you also need to get a young quarterback. I feel like Jalen Waddle would help a young quarterback if they go and get one this offseason better than not having anybody there. Defensively, Chop Robinson,
yes,
I think is a core player. I'm a little
Phillips is tough because he's with the injuries.
Phillips is tough because you can't. I don't know if he's going to remain healthy, but I think you can get some value for him. You're not trading Zach Seiler. I think he is one of your like core franchise players. Jordan Brooks, I still sort of like. I think they like him, but I don't know. Like, if in a full rebuild mode, is he a guy that's getting out of here? And then, of course, I think you keep Minkah Fitzpatrick around. So the fact that we're like still like trying to go over and be like, are these guys like your core like players to build around is sort of a sad state of affairs when we're talking about the Dolphins.
Well, Joey Diaz once famously said, you don't need 20 friends. You only need 3 MFers to take over a country. So if they could identify which 3 MFers it is in those locker room, like you said, Seiler and a handful of guys, if you say it's Jalen Waddle, keep him in there, keep the speed at the running back position and roll. I mean, you can build around that as long as you can't leave an empty receiver room, to your point, because that would be a mountain that you can't climb.
The problem, though, is obviously it's just Tua in the contract. It's that even if you trade him next offseason, it's like, who's going to trade for him also? But like, even if you do,
You're right.
you're not getting cap relief from it that's that much. So it's going to be difficult there. Now let's get to the next tier, which is the mid-rebuild tier. These teams, I think, have already kind of, I don't want to say bottomed out, but they've already turned over. They've already started turning a new leaf. We've already gone down this path quite a bit, at least like a year now. And I think that there's enough there. There's a core there that's good enough that you just need key pieces. Key being obviously the quarterback position being the most key, but then some other ones across the net. You need wide receivers. You need weapons too on both of these teams. And it's the Jets, it's the Browns. If you can get that, you can get a quarterback and some weapons. Quarterback, one, wide receiver, one. If you obviously easier said than done. But if you get that, you get a quarterback and a good wide receiver on both these teams, I think they're ready to compete a lot sooner than their record may suggest. It's just, so I wouldn't do a full teardown on either of these teams. The next year, it could turn around quickly, in my opinion, for either of these teams, given how talented they are. But it's just the obvious positions on this roster that are holes have to be addressed.
I'm curious what the Jets do with their younger defensive talent. So there's been a lot of rumors with trades surrounding Quincy Williams, Will McDonald IV, and Jermaine Johnson. I'm curious who they deem as like the guys moving forward in this defense, the guys moving forward for this franchise. I'd be a little curious to see Quincy Williams go, largely because not only is his brother on the team, but he is still one of their better players. But they just paid Jamie and Sherwood, so it's kind of like paying two linebackers is sort of you don't know if you want to do that at this stage if you're the Jets. And then McDonald, I feel like has more of a chance of staying on the Jets than Jermaine Johnson, even though Johnson just got his fifth-year option. He just got his fifth-year option from the Jets this offseason. So I'm curious what they do. But like you said, if you get a quarterback and some receivers in here, you might have something going. And I think defensively, they need secondary help. Outside of Sauce Gardner, they need non-Sauce Gardner defensive backs that they can really trust.
All right.
They have the O-line, dude. They drafted the right guys at the offensive line. And if I have any say in this conversation, it's that I believe in the guys they have at the right and the left tackle spot in New York. And obviously with the Browns, they have a lot of young talent, but to your point, without a quarterback whose age starts with a 2, that you can really rely on, you're going to be in dark, deep water every weekend. And you're going to have these guys contract killers like Joe Flacco come in Joe Flacco at the beginning of the season come in and handle your quarterback room, which is just a bunch of young guys. I mean, nobody's really stepped up.
Next tier here, it's called the sunk year tier. Now, maybe this is a little harsh for some of these teams, but it's basically the full rebuild, mid-rebuild expectations were fairly low to begin with. We knew these teams had problems, and we were hopeful for some, but knew that it wasn't going to be their year regardless. The teams in this tier, they had hope going into this year. There were thoughts that it was going to be good, and still could be for some of them. I'm not writing some of these off for the playoffs, but I think if they're in this tier, they're just not factoring into the conversation. They are not factoring in the conversation, and it's basically just a year where it didn't work out the way you hoped. There's no rebuild. There's no, tear it down. It's just kind of business as usual. You just need to get a better roster next season. And it's the Ravens, it's the Vikings, it's the Cardinals, it's the Texans, it's the Commanders, it's the Chargers, and then the Bengals. Commanders, Chargers are the two where I was like, they're still not bad teams. But I think they're kind of sunk years for both in that you have top 6 quarterbacks in the NFL, and I don't think the teams around them this year are going to do anything more than maybe sneak into the playoffs.
It feels like a broken record talking about the Texans sometimes because we're like, man, this defense is awesome. Playoff caliber, Super Bowl caliber defense. It's just the offense is so bad at this point that it's sinking that team. And it sucks because, again, you're in an AFC where, anything can happen. Any team can go on a run and end up in the playoffs. But this Texans team just feels like they're still trying to find out what works. in week 7 of the season because they don't have the offensive line talent to give themselves a margin for error. You don't have any way of – you have no identity on offense. And it's tough to have an identity when you don't have an offensive line that you can base your identity on. If you want to be able to, like, throw the ball around the yard, you can't do that because you can't stay in shotgun because you don't have proper pass protection. If you want to get the run game going, if you want to try and go heavy play action, which is what Nick Caley wanted to do this offseason, they can't run the ball at all. They get into 3rd and 4th and short, and they go backwards. So it just feels like a sunk year for the Texans, which is going to be really interesting going forward because you're going to have to pay C.J. Stroud, going to have to pay Will Anderson. You're going to have to pay all the young guys that are on that team. Like, you're going to have to pay them big money coming up soon. And losing this year in a year where, like, the quarterback's still cheap, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens going forward.
That's why I keep going back to Caserio instead of Demeco, because this was always kind of the year that it should have been great. And you have, like, you hit on the two. Like, when they made that big play to move up and mortgage a future first rounder to go get Will Anderson as well as and then obviously CJ Stroud also. The dream was always that they turned out as good as they did, right? Like, the dream was always that Will Anderson's a top 10 edge rusher in the NFL. He is. The dream is always that CJ Stroud's a franchise quarterback. He is. And so you hit that those two things should make your life a lot easier as a general manager to then build around it. Those are kind of like the two things we're saying about, or like at least one of the things we're saying about the Jets and Browns, where it's like they need that. If they had that, those teams would be contenders, could actually make the playoffs. And with the Texans now, you got that, and you've let this offensive. I cannot believe the offensive line is as bad as it is. Like, that should be, after you get the guy, all your effort, all your resources as a general manager should just be like, keep our guy upright, give him the situation to develop. And it's been the opposite. That offensive line has gotten worse over the course of his 3 years in the NFL, not better.
Yeah, it's eerily reminiscent of some of the things that we talk about with Joe Burrow going on with CJ Stroud, because we know how special Joe Burrow is when he's on the field, but he can't be on the field when he's not protected because he's not one of these guys who's elusive, like some of the top tier mobile guys who can get out of some really harrowing situations. But CJ Stroud is a traditional guy who dominates from the pocket. And if you can give him just any sort of confidence or any, where he doesn't have any doubt of his protection, that guy is one of the most fun guys to watch play the quarterback position. And I remember when he was on his heater, I'm sitting there with my wife like, babe, I think this guy might be the best quarterback in the National Football League. I remember those Sundays, you know what I'm saying? And we're missing out on that as fans of football, not even Texans fans. I can't imagine what they're doing every Sunday, watching this guy who's now seemingly got, he's a little bit shell-shocked from all this stuff. And you can see it, dude. You can see it in this quarterback. And I hope they figure it out because he's a special talent.
That was always the worry. When you try and rebuild this offensive line, you sort of try and moneyball the offensive line, which I think is an important lesson for NFL franchises going forward. You can't nickel and dime an offensive line. You have to go and spend big money. If it meant, like, of course, Laremy Tunsil had a down year the year before, so I get why, like, they wanted to move off of him. But of course, hindsight's 2020. You probably should have kept that guy who can be a top 10 left tackle in the league. But the biggest worry was CJ Stroud begins to develop scar tissue from constantly getting hit and constantly being under pressure. And you're starting to see that a little bit. It looks like he's just late. He's holding on to the ball. It feels like he's skittish under pressure, which is something that he was always very good at, or he was very good at before the offensive line started to wear it down. So now you're worrying, with 2 straight years of being the most hit quarterback in the NFL, how is this going to affect your franchise quarterback moving forward? We've seen this story happen before. I remember I posted during the game, like, hey, I've seen this one before when it comes to a promising AFC South quarterback undone by a franchise's, like, missteps around him. I've seen this movie before with basically every team in the division. So it's just, I'm worried about the Texans long term, but I'm also not, because their defense is so freaking good.
Yeah. But it's like when the Republic, the Star Wars people that are fighting, the Empire or whatever, if Luke Skywalker's lightsaber doesn't light up, the effect is a lot bigger than Luke Skywalker doesn't have a lightsaber anymore. Everybody doesn't believe as much. And I'll tell you what, when you start to the great thing about getting exposed for 1 year in Kansas City to Patrick Mahomes and that operation was the belief that there was a Jedi in the building. And like, it's real. It's very real. And everybody's performance picks up. If you have any shadow of doubt as an offensive player that your guy is dealing with something like that, or maybe you're not good enough at your job, it's just everybody loses confidence because of it. And it shows with that offensive side of the ball. And thank God for that defense.
All right, let's get to the next tier. It's called the fun year. To me, the definition of a fun year is when your expectations were low to begin with. I mean, obviously, like it has to be, but you're still not a good team. To me, one of the most fun years I can remember as a Packers fan was 2023, because that was first year of Jordan Love starting. They went 9-8. They weren't a good team, but I went into that year just being like, I have such low expectations. Basically, my only expectation was to hope that Jordan Love wasn't terrible, right? Because he hadn't looked great up until that point. It was not a known at that point in his first year of starter that Jordan Love was going to turn into the guy he is now. So to go 9-8, I was happy as heck that year. And I feel like these teams are kind of in that where it's like, hey, we probably aren't going to a championship game. I can almost guarantee none of these teams are going to be in a championship game, but we're having fun doing it because we didn't expect to go to the championship game. And they are the Patriots, the Jaguars, the Falcons, the Steelers, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Giants.
So I actually would move the Patriots up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the one team that I would move up out of the fun year, because I think fun year is, you have some really like boneheaded, like really bad losses, and they're still like teetering around 500. The Patriots are 5-2. Like they're at the top of the division, and they have the quarterback who is really playing at an elite level right now. So I'll probably move them up. But I think this is a good ranking for a lot of these teams. As a Jaguars fan, it sucks because of the way that you went into the bye. But I said before the season, if you're above 500 going into the bye, I feel pretty good about the rest of the season. And they are. So this feels like the chaotic teams where like any week they can really upset a team or also just fall flat on their face.
The fun year category is actually really fun, Mike. I love this because that's what being a Bears fan is right now. It's like we are the epitome of this is a fun year because it's the first opportunity to see a guy like Ben Johnson get with Caleb Williams, what that offense looks like. It's 25 points a game, Mike. This is a fun year to be a Bears fan. We haven't seen this kind of offense ever. You know what I'm saying? So it is fun. For the Steelers, different kind of fun. 3 tight ends on the field. We got a 320-pound tight end. We got a 42-year-old quarterback with a massive friggin' helmet. And it looks fun, if you're a Steelers fan. You know what else is fun, but not in a good way? Their defense is not the same. And they've had to make some adjustments to how they run their offense. And it's an interesting way that they win football games. Patriots, if I had to move them, and I'm glad you said that, JP, I'd put them in the capable of high highs because of their quarterback, Drake May. I mean, what I've seen from him, the way he can distribute the football to like multiple guys being productive, I don't know. I just think he is something's clicked for that guy. It's like the antithesis of what happened with CJ Stroud after his really high year. He's going through that high right now. And when you're an athlete and you're on a high like that, you end up in that category. Jaguars, you said it. Falcons, dude, they're fun because they've got so many damn weapons and so many young players that are stepping up on the defensive side. And they have over-exceeded expectations defensively, and they are who I thought they were going to be offensively. You don't know what you're going to get week to week, but you know that a lot of it's going to go through Bijan Robinson. And they got a bunch of freaks.
My only pushback with the Patriots is that I'm not sure we know how good they are given the schedule they've played. Like they lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Steelers. 4 of their wins are against the Dolphins, Saints, Panthers, Titans. So like 3 of probably the worst 5 teams in the NFL. And then the Panthers, who are one week one of the worst teams in the NFL. The other week, I don't know, somehow they blow up Falcons. So the Bills game is like what you hang your hat on, but then the Bills kind of get boat raced by the Falcons too, and maybe they stink. So
it's a sign of the times, though, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at the way that the Saints have played teams, and they've played teams tougher than you would imagine if you just looked at wins and losses. And like the Panthers have the ability to do things to teams. Styles make fights, as all three of us know. And week to week in the NFL, for whatever reason right now, a lot of good fights have broken out. And that's just I'm lucky to be covering this thing because it's crazy every week, and my picks suck every week. And it's just fun. It's no surprise we're in the fun category.
My more why I put them here is like they don't have a great offensive line. It's gotten a lot better from last year, but it's still not great. They still have some holes there. They don't have any edge rushers. You just objectively look at this roster and you're like, there are things right now that Drake May on his own is basically smoothing out, that they don't have weapons that are necessarily guys that can get open on their own. So he's doing a lot of smoothing out for this team. And I just think it's fun for sure, but I wouldn't, once we get to like the next tier of good teams is the Rams, Seahawks, Broncos. I would not pick the Patriots, probably even at home against any of those three teams right now, right? Like I just don't think they are.
No, but look at their schedule, Mike. So the remaining,
I know that helps. Like they're going to
Jets twice. What do they got? Jets twice, Dolphins, Ravens, Giants. I mean, you know, that's going to be a fun game against the Giants. Browns defense could be hell for my guy Drake May. And if he gets into a pissing match with Joe Flacco in week, 18, it's going to be a shootout too. But I just think that he is the guy that gives belief to a building. And Mike Vrabel has when he struck the match on the culture, it just went whoosh, and the whole thing is rolling right now.
All right, Falcons, Bucks in 2 weeks and then 3 weeks. You got Falcons 2 weeks, Bucks in 3 weeks. If they win those two games, I will stop just calling them a fun team and I'll call them a real threat in the AFC.
Deal.
But until that,
just color me excited. I mean,
exactly. They're just that's where I'm.
He throws the deep ball, baby. He's fun to watch, and he's got a Phillip Rivers, a yuck kind of thing about him. He's like, he's awesome, dude.
All right, next tier. This is they're above 500 tier with a question mark at the end. And it's the 49ers and the Panthers for two different reasons. One, because the 49ers have just been like, everyone's injured again. And for the Panthers, it's because Christian. True, not him. And for the Panthers, it's because if you told me they're above 500 7 weeks into the season, I would have been like, oh, Bryce is playing ball. No, Bryce actually looks awful. I think he's 28th in EPA per play amongst quarterbacks this year. Like it's not actually been good at all from the guy who drafted number 1 overall. He doesn't look as bad as he did early on last season or his rookie season, but he doesn't look as good as he did down the stretch. So surprising that both of these teams are above 500 given those facts.
I think the 49ers need to call the Rams and ask them to send the Immortal Chamber 6 hours north to put Christian McCaffrey in that.
How many do you?
Every day. Put Christian McCaffrey in the Immortal Chamber or whatever they did in like Dune. Put him in that every single day. Like I feel like they've sacrificed the injury and the health of everybody else on the team to make sure they get 17 games of their best offensive player outside of Trent Williams, and it's kind of worked. Like I'm not gonna say it's been like unsustainable. They've beaten some really good teams this way. They've lost some close games to some really good teams. But the fact that Kyle Shanahan is drawing it up with the best of them, you're getting great play from a really young defense. This is fun. I don't know how sustainable it really will be moving forward, but this is fun.
Okay, so versus the Atlanta Falcons, Christian McCaffrey, 24 carries, $129, 5.5 per, 2 tuds, and 15 was his long run. Receiving, he had 7 catches. So 24 plus 7. He's got 32. I think they ran 60 plays, guys. What you're telling me is, and you bring the invincibility chamber up there, please. Get it ready because this is not sustainable. Okay, the guy that has been in and out of the lineup the last handful of years for Kyle Shanahan. There's been no coaching change. This is what Kyle Shanahan's lived in, and he keeps pressing the button. He just continues to press the button, and it's been fantastic. They ran power a million different ways, and I give them credit, and they've got the guys to be able to do that. But like Christian McCaffrey is not invincible, so you got to keep that in mind. But it's the only way to continue winning, I guess, right, JP?
You know, it's how you got to the dance. If you're gonna be in the dance, that's what we got you here.
Play the hits.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Play the hits. George Kittle's back. Don't even think about throwing the ball. You don't have to think about throwing the ball. And if you are throwing the ball, throw it to 85 or 23. That's the only. They are going to run this like the high school offense where you have like 1 or 2 5-stars, and you just run the offense through them. That's what they're doing.
That's it. It's U12 tackle football. We're like, nobody can tackle our guy, so we're just gonna keep giving him the ball.
I will say though, Brandon Ayuk will come back at some point this season. Doesn't sound like he's particularly close, but
yeah, I wonder if he's been rehabbing
because he has not been designated to return just yet with that 21-day practice window. And then Ricky Pearsall will come back at some point this season. So you got a receiver and then maybe Brock Purdy comes back at some point this season too. Who knows? But maybe it doesn't matter if Mac Jones is playing the way he is. So there's a potential that this team brings it back.
Did you see the injury report that said that Ricky Pearsall was injury prone, and it listed 2 injuries, one of which was being shot, and it was like a real injury report.
Did you see how many tattoos he had? That was obviously a risk.
Ricky Pearsall's a badass, dude.
It is funny thinking about the potential of Mac Jones, Brock Purdy. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be incredibly funny.
He's been good.
Wally Pipp.
Yeah, but it definitely shows you that, hey, Kyle Shanahan is a wizard. Next tier. This is the consistently good tier, but are they great tier? It's the Rams, it's the Seahawks, it's the Broncos. They're very good teams. They show up weekly. But are they really, when you stack them up and they got to go through?
Are they tall enough?
Yes. Are they going to really be? I mean, we all call them firm playoff teams. Firm. But are they championship teams? I don't think I know that just yet.
When you say it like, are they championship teams, I understand having them here. But I think I would probably move the Seahawks up. Maybe I'm just riding the high a little bit, but the way that this passing game has played, the way that Sam Darnold has played, of course, you haven't gotten the bad Sam Darnold game yet. You haven't gotten the game where he turns back into a pumpkin. And I think that's a great display of like what Clint Kubiak has done, what JSN has done this year. The offense can score at, against, or with anybody. And the defense, we have said, like, they are still one of the best defenses in the NFL and have not played full strength yet. They haven't gotten a full game from their secondary at this point. So I do wonder when the defense gets fully healthy, that's going to take them up a whole lot higher because the defense is already really good. Like the way that they're able to get pass rush, the way they're able to design pressures, the way that Mike Macdonald, we talk about offensive coordinator scheming guys open. The way Mike Macdonald can scheme free runners is so impressive week in and week out. I think with the way that they're being coached right now and the way that they have impact players on both sides of the ball, it's hard not to say that they're capable of really high highs.
So I was watching the Monday Night Football coverage, the doubleheader, and obviously the Seahawks were on there. And I was just thinking to myself, watching the way they swarmed to the football, particularly at the line of scrimmage, you could tell they're really well coached. And obviously that defense and the way that Sam Darnold and the offense has played has raised the floor for success in Seattle. It's been awesome to see. They have shown really high highs offensively, but I kind of agree that they are consistently a really good team right now, but are they great, Mike? So I think that they are in the right category. I like JP's point about the fact that this defense hasn't been in totality healthy yet. And when they are, they're going to be a real nightmare. And I tend to, like, last year I was doing the pumpkin thing with Sam Darnold and we were all kind of waiting around for it. But like now it's just to the point where Sam Darnold's a really good quarterback, I think. And even really good quarterbacks have crappy days at the office. So like, I don't think it'll be a pumpkin game. And I think it's not something that when it does happen, if he goes 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and looks like maybe he's seeing ghosts. Like he has earned forgiveness for when that does happen. But, Seahawks, I think they're in the right place. Broncos, question mark, are they great? But, yeah, obviously they're good. And the Rams, any team with McVay and Stafford, as long as Devontae's healthy or Puka's healthy, we've seen that they can do it either or. So they're going to be all right.
Yeah, I am actually very excited to see the Seahawks secondary fully healthy, given Nick Manwari's gosh, he might be the best
monster
DB in this rookie class already. And that was not the thought. That was not the book on him as a prospect. And he's been awesome in the slot. So, he had a play against Jalen Noel where he ran step for step on the slot vertical, which is the hardest thing to do given he was not slot, right? He was not corner. He was a safety at South Carolina. He was not a guy who was playing man match. And so to do that is just different stuff, different cat. So bring Devon Witherspoon back and Julian Love back into that secondary. Yeah, it's maybe I'm not giving them enough credence given that.
Physical. Right. They play physical brand up front too. Even if it's not sexy, they are from an offensive line perspective. That's one of those teams where you watch, you're like, man, I'm glad I'm not playing anymore.
Next tier. This is the capable of high highs tier. Any of these teams on any given week can just light it up. One side of the ball, other side of the ball. They have the ability to look like the best team in the NFL, but they don't necessarily on a weekly basis have the goods. There's maybe some holes that are issues or way, shape, or form. It's the Packers, the Eagles, the Bills, the Colts, the Bucks.
I think I categorize these teams when we think about them, and I hate to use Madden, but these are teams that have X factors on either side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Players that can tilt the game in their team's favor. When you think about the Packers, Micah Parsons almost basically won them that game by himself on Sunday. That's their X factor player, and then you get some really good passing by Jordan Love. The Eagles obviously have the X factor players. It's just about, can you get this offense to even be competent and actually run a real offense? Then with the Bills, obviously Josh Allen is your X factor. I am a little worried about the sustainability of their defense, and especially that lack of speed at the second and third level. And then you think about teams like the Colts, they have Quentin Nelson, Jonathan Taylor. Those are your X factor players. Whenever you need a play. But it's so funny seeing whenever the Colts need a big play, they run behind Quentin Nelson, whether it be as a forward, whether you're running right off the left side between him and Bernard Raymond, you go and run behind 56. That's every time they need a big play. And then the Bucks, I just wish they were healthy. It kind of sucks that it really sucks that Mike Evans broke his collarbone. We might get the 1K yard streak ending this year, which feels like Undertaker losing at Mania.
Got to pour one out for Mike Evans.
We're pouring one out for Mike Evans, but these teams all have game breakers who can tilt the game and can lead teams to, like you said, those really high highs.
Yeah, dude. First and foremost, it is sad that Mike Evans' record is going to be more than likely done. Unbelievable. Packers, dude, they can do anything any number of ways offensively. They have, to your point, an X factor, and Mike, you teased it earlier. This was the no-brainer of no-brainers. Micah Parsons on that football team, on a team with a real chance at the Super Bowl. And I feel like you get the best version of him, and he's the guy that raises the performance of everybody else. And it's been no surprise to watch that Packers defense do the things that they've done. Bills, look, Josh Allen's going to have to put the cape on again. Simple as that, buddy. Simple as that. And the offensive line's going to have to play better. The offensive line, which has been a real strong point, and that's kind of the theme this year. A number of the teams in here, the Eagles and the Bills, both of those groups have dealt with different stuff. And, the Eagles are banged up, but the Bills just have to flat out play better. And if Josh puts on his cape, they're in any single ball game. They can be in any single shootout. And the Colts have done the right things well this year. And that's playing offensive line. That's getting rid of the football, utilizing everybody in your offense, and working through particular guys. They're a lot of fun, and I think they're for real.
Last tier, it's the goes through them tier. To me right now, this is the team that in each conference that maybe not necessarily, going to win the conference, but they will be there at the end of the year. I could see other teams, given what we've seen so far, fall off a bit, maybe not make it through wild card rounds. I don't think that's going to be the case with either of these two teams. It is the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs.
We've come really far from week one. And that's my one takeaway here. Both these teams lost in really bad ways week one, and it's a positive indictment on the coaching and the way that they're able to manufacture that development, that growth week over week, especially with the Lions being as young as they are, being as injured as they are. It's a really good sign for them that they're able to get that growth.
So the Lions and the Chiefs, because of leadership, particularly at the head coach spot, but you think about Holmes and the job that Veach has done in Kansas City, bringing in the right guys, seemingly getting steals every single year. Oh, the Chiefs got away with it again. It starts there, and it feels like I wasn't alive for this, but the Lakers and the Celtics played like every year in the 80s, right? And I feel like they just had the right guys. You think about those games and their stars. I think about Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and there's stars on the Lions and Chiefs. Now, the stars for the Chiefs, the star is the quarterback, star of the show. And they've done a great job bringing in backup dancers and backup singers for them. It's like an orchestra in Detroit. It's like watching a big band play on Sundays. And they have put the right pieces at the offensive line. They've got the right type of culture guys on both sides of the ball. Albeit beat up at most times, the defense is electric to watch, and backup players come in and they play well. I saw you guys talking about the backup secondary guys, and it's no surprise to me that that's what happens for Detroit, because it starts with the leadership and Brad Holmes bringing in the right human beings, and they just want dogs that love football, and they got them. And it's the same thing with Kansas City. And to your point, so much has changed since week one, but they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, just both just have such a strong identity, these two teams, that they have sticking power. They have sticking power because of it. They will lose guys. They have injuries. That happens in the NFL. Not to the Chiefs. They've been like one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. But you will lose guys, and the Lions have. And it really hasn't changed their fate, seemingly. They still, week in, week out, show up. So, yeah, these two teams just played a couple weeks ago. Obviously, the Chiefs kind of rolled that one, but I think in retrospect, we might be looking back at that as like, okay, yeah, that was two of the top in the NFL going at it. There's your tiers. We're going to take a quick break after this. Going to get to Defensive Player of the Year candidates. JP's got them. We want to know who they are right after this.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
All right, so we have Defensive Player of the Year tier list for my special tier this week. Do we want to start from the top with the favorites, or do we want to start with the dark horses?
Let's go with the dark horses. Let's build up.
All right, so my dark horses so far this season. First one, I have Quinyon Mitchell from cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's had an awesome year this year. He's been incredible as a pass defender. I think his game against Justin Jefferson was actually one of the best I've ever seen anybody play against Justin Jefferson. After that, I have Nick Herbig, I have Milton Williams, and Yaya Diaby. That's the dark horse tier right now.
I love this.
Nick Herbig.
I love having dark horse tiers, because there's usually not this many tiers on the DPOY conversation. There's so many great football players, and there's only a handful of guys that we're really like, okay, these are the guys, like Vegas shows you 6 guys or whatever. This is a realistic list that gives kudos to the right people. And I'm glad you made this.
Love Nick Herbig inclusion. Unfortunately, he will not win it anytime soon, given just like TJ Watt dominates the headlines for Pittsburgh. So no one else in Pittsburgh, I feel like, can win it on that defensive line, but love the inclusion. The guy is balling.
All right. So our next tier is production monsters. These guys just have insane numbers right now, and they are Devin Lloyd, they are Brian Burns, and there's Aiden Hutchinson, And I also thought about including Jordan Lewis here because of his production for the Jaguars, but I went with Lloyd instead. But these guys are having insane statistical numbers. Brian Burns leads the NFL in sacks. Aiden Hutchinson has been incredible coming off of the leg injury. And then Devin Lloyd, like we all know, like he is just a ball. He's a ball magnet. He's a ball hawk right now. So those are production monsters. I don't know if they're going to win, but their production has been really good this year.
I would throw two other guys on here. Byron Young, 8 sacks for the Los Angeles Rams. Another guy who he's not going to win because everyone knows about the guy opposite from him, but he's been awesome this year for the Los Angeles Rams. And then DJ Turner, just because I think he deserves some love given how much of a leap he's made this season. Perfect fit for Al Golden's defense. Playing so much more man match sort of stuff. Really playing to his strengths. He leads the NFL in pass breakups with 9, has 2 picks also. Obviously, no one on the Bengals is going to win Defensive Player of the Year anytime soon, but I think he just deserves a shout out in this year.
Yeah, DJ Turner has been awesome.
Aiden Hutchinson has been remarkable in his recovery. And as somebody who went through a number of lower body injuries, I just, I'm baffled by the things that guys are doing to get ready and get their bodies right. And I just big respect to Aiden Hutchinson. My
next tier on this is previous winners. And this is where I have Pat Surtain II. This is like if nobody's really playing that well, you always know Pat Surtain is always going to play well. It's a quiet dominance, which is the best way you want to be as a corner. Like teams just don't throw at him anymore. And it's hilarious to watch like one side of the field be completely nullified because Pat Surtain is over there, and it unlocks a lot for that defense. But he's in the tier of like previous winner where like I don't know if he's going to win this year because I don't think a Defensive Player of the Year has ever gone like back to back. But he's definitely among consideration.
Quiet dominance is a great way to explain cornerback position and like left tackle, right tackle, like a guy that never gets talked about and you just know he's going to be okay. He is unbelievable. And I remember when I came in the league, I was like, who's the best player you ever played with? To Jay Cutler. And he was like, do you know a guy named Ryan Clady? And I was like, yeah, Ryan Clady. He was like, I met him one time. He was like, I met him once. Pretty much. I haven't seen him since. I haven't had to talk to him about anything because that's how good he is. And that's how I feel like BS2 is. And it must be nice.
His numbers are actually on almost an identical pace to what he was last year. And he has a lot more pass breakups. He just doesn't have the pick numbers. Last year, 4 picks. Doesn't have any this year. So
those are big.
It's a pick. Those are. It's still a counting stats sort of award, which most of them are. But yeah, Surtain, it's not like he's taking a step back whatsoever.
All right, this next tier, best player on the best defense. I have Jared Verse and Leonard Williams on here. I think both guys, Jared Verse has been awesome this year. I still think he's missing some of the sack production, but he leads the NFL in run stop win rate as an edge. He's still getting doubled at an extremely high rate and still getting pressures. Leonard Williams has been incredible in what is his 10th or 11th season as an NFL player. He has been sort of the engine for that front line and how they draw up a lot of their pressures. So if I'm giving it to anybody on the Seahawks defense, I'd say it's Leonard Williams.
So 14 years ago, what was it? 14 years ago, 2000. No, it wasn't 14 years ago. 2012. It was like November 3rd, 2012. I'm making my first start for the Oregon Ducks. It was like week 10. Somebody got hurt. I ended up coming in. Playbook was an issue for me, guys. So it took me a little bit. And my first matchup was against USC. And obviously we had watched USC on tape and all that. But I didn't know the guys' names. I didn't know anything about these guys. It was 56. It was 98, blah, blah, blah. I go out for my first series, and I get absolutely two-hand throttled right in the V of my neck. My head snapped back like Drake Mays on the turf. And that was my first drive. I come back to the sideline, and I said, what the hell was that guy doing? Who the hell is that guy? And Steve Greatwood, my O-line coach, he said, I didn't want to tell you this throughout the week, but that young man, his name is Leonard Williams, and he's a freshman, and he's going to be a very good football player, and you'll be just fine. Just go out there and compete. Yeah, watching him go, like you said, 11 years, watching him go for as long as he has and seemingly be still full tilt, full juiced up Leonard Williams. They call him Big Cat. He's a big freak. And like I said, a big reason for why that defense is that has the teeth right there.
Unfortunately, I feel like a player in Leonard Williams' mold is just never going to win. You're never going to win defensive player. If Justin Smith couldn't win a defensive player of the year, Leonard Williams just got no shot. Like those guys it's a thankless job.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's sort of we have a sacrificial X at receiver. He is the sacrificial defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Or like he's the one having to like hammer everybody on the stunts and loops, but he does it so effectively.
He's tanking in Overwatch. He's tanking.
Yeah, he's a tank. He is your classic, he's the classic meat shield in video games. You get him out in front and you're gonna win a lot of games.
Yes.
My next tier would be here if the team was better. And these are two players. Will Anderson Jr. and Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons has been dominant this year. Like, it's just been incredible watching him play. And Will Anderson Jr. has been darn near unstoppable. He is second in the NFL in pass rush win rate. He's getting double teamed a lot, but is still making it work. And that defense is awesome. But I feel like he has been the most productive of all the stars in that team.
Dude, great players on teams that aren't winning. It just goes to show that not all media markets, not all stories are covered the same way. And that while we don't, rig the media, we don't sit there and devise plans to forget guys off of lists. Like, this is just the reality of it. If you're not on a team that's really winning, or if you're not having a historic season, you're not going to be the guy that wins these awards. And my older brother, Chris, he was in St. Louis for 8 years. He had 75 sacks and he never made a Pro Bowl. And you got to keep in mind, a guy like that never gets to pass rush because they're always playing from behind. More often than not, you're playing run defense. And I think about, Will Anderson playing opposite the CJ Stroud offense right now. He's getting 35% less rush opportunities. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 40% less rush opportunities. Jeffrey Simmons is battling his ass off in the run and the pass. And to your point, there's something to be said for here. Would be here if the team was better is the perfect name for this tier, JP.
It really is insane how good Jeffrey Simmons has been, given what you kind of said there, Kyle. It's hard. Not only do you not get opportunities to rush the passer when you're on a bad team because you were playing from behind, but it's just mentally, it has to suck. Week in, week out, the grind has to be just tough to say, I got to get up again, knowing that I can play my ass off. I can play the best game I've ever played my entire life. And Jeffrey Simmons is playing some of this. And it just won't matter. There's just not enough here to do it. It just, the mental as well as the physical with Jeffrey Simmons has been wildly impressive. But yeah, he deserves a shout out. He ain't going to win it, unfortunately, but definitely deserves all the love given what he's doing on a team like that.
Matt Ryan and I were talking this past weekend. He was like, I'll learn a lot about you in week 16, 17, 18 when we're, 4 and whatever.
Yeah.
When the chips are down, you learn a lot about a man in this league. And these guys showing up is a testament to their character.
All right. Final tier, we have the favorites. And it's obvious. Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Nick Benito. It's been insane sort of watching each of those guys dominate in a lot of different ways, where Myles Garrett, according to ESPN's pass rush win rate, is being double teamed 32% of the time in pass rush situations. And he still has the 8th highest pass rush win rate, despite being doubled basically more than anybody else. And in second place, in terms of double team rate at edge, is Micah Parsons. And he is 9th in pass rush win rate at this point. Nick Benito has just been awesome. Just the level of play that he has taken up to the big plays and the big moments. Each of these guys, they're probably going to end up being the 3 finalists for Defensive Player of the Year. So these are the favorites so far.
We called it here on Pushing the Pile with Micah Parsons, and I know you were tooting my horn a little bit at the top of the show, but I wanted to wait. I just wanted to marinate in this for a little bit because I have seen this movie before where a superstar joins your team in the dark of night right before the fight happens, and you are injected with this brand new juice and testosterone and skill and ferocity, and a guy that can run on all four of his appendages like, a freak show. And he comes in there, he can line up anywhere, he can beat anybody. And to your point about the double team rate, and people that don't watch the Packers, they say, man, Micah hasn't been doing, obviously not last week, but Micah hasn't been doing. Go watch the games, bro. There's two guys blocking him. There's a fullback chipping him, and he's slipping the edge of that and speeding up the quarterback. That is immediate impact. And a guy like Jordan Love's like, all we got to do is go down there and score. Josh Jacobs like, just get the ball in the end zone and go let those guys eat. And the coordinator's been doing a great job. I think they've found creative ways to try to get him home and put him in advantageous situations. And that's the challenge week to week. It's a different chess match, but he's fantastic. Myles Garrett, another one of those guys, Joe Thomas levels of greatness on a horrible team. And I'm just going to say it. That's what it's been for Myles Garrett. And I'm glad he stayed in Cleveland. Part of me is glad he stayed in Cleveland because I love my dad was a 13-year one-team guy, and I have a lot of respect for that. And that's all I know. And Myles Garrett is going to be a Brown probably for the rest of his career. And we could be seeing him on the Patriots or the, whoever. And he would be dominating and he would get – but I have a different kind of respect for Myles Garrett because of where he's at and what he's done. And for Nick Bonito, I mean, I almost cussed. The stuff he does from a movement standpoint is unreal, and his ability to convert speed to power is special. And I think that when you have that combination, there's no matchup that you line up and say, man, I'm out of it just based on matchup. Like, he is in every fight. Like, you go watch him and Andrew Thomas last week, and the stress that he put on Thomas laterally, testing his button. You can win every week when you're a guy like Nick Bonito.
The one player, I don't disagree that these guys are the favorites, but I would add one guy that was in a lower tier to this. To me, it's Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, I mean, he's going to have the numbers. He does not come off the football field. Second most snaps among defensive ends this year. And when you don't come off the field, you just run into sacks. He is going to run into probably 14 or 15 sacks this year, even outside of the fact that he gets a ton of pressures. He leads the NFL in pressures right now. And the second reason being, the NFL is going to look for a way to give a Detroit Lions player an award if they're even close to it, given how much love gets given to that franchise, given all the injuries they've had since the past year. If their defense still plays well, they're going to find someone on that defense to try to give Defensive Player of the Year to. And I think you're going to give it to Aiden Hutchinson if you're giving it to anyone, that Lions defense.
Detroit privilege.
I would put him in the favorites here because he'll play a lot more snaps than guys like Parsons Garrett. He'll match probably sack production, and he'll have kind of the limelight. But so to me, if I had to bet 1-2 right now, I think Parsons Hutchinson would be like my bets on who would get it. Just because Garrett, the Browns, when you're that far out of it, even you could be the most dominant guy in the world, it's just going to be tough for him to still win the award.
Yeah, for Myles Garrett to win it, I think he would have to break the sack record, which, I mean, he's capable of
Teams
doing.
aren't going to let him.
But yeah, when you're constantly having to defend the run, like a majority of the plays, you're not going to be able to get that sack production. I do think Bonito is going to have a really strong case because the Broncos are still going to be, if not the best defense in the NFL. And I get what you're saying with Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions getting the Lions Player in the award, which is why I think he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. I think that's the award that he's going to get. It's going to be a dogfight between he and CMC for that award. But I think Hutchinson's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. But he's been awesome this year. Just some of the movement skills he's showed off. It's like he never left.
How about if you had to throw a rookie on any of your tiers? If you had to pick one rookie to put on any of your tiers, who would you put in there?
That is a great question. I mean, I feel like Abdul Carter's probably going to run away with Defensive Rookie of the Year. So I feel like putting him in the dark horse would probably make a lot of sense. But I don't know if
Nick Manwari.
What about my guy, the linebacker from Cleveland, dude? That guy's a beast. Schlesinger, dude. He's gonna have like 300 tackles by the end of this season, bro.
I think he's gonna fall to the same fate as Myles Garrett, which is he's gonna get a lot of stats, a lot of tackles, because you have to be on the field so much defending the run. I think Jahad Campbell, he started off the season really well, but with everything sort of in flux position-wise for him, I don't know if he's going to get enough production. Like they're having him play edge, having him play off-ball. It's sort of creating a good problem when you have 3 good off-ball linebackers. You can't play them all at the same time. So I'm curious on which rookie really stands out to finish up the season, because right now it feels like Abdul Carter is going to kind of run away with Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Somebody's going to make big plays in the playoffs, and we can revisit this conversation.
Let's get to the Thursday night football preview. Vikings travel to LA to face the Chargers. Chargers 3-point favorites there. 44.5 points is the over-under. And this one, it's going to be another Wentz show. Carson Wentz still there, starting quarterback. JJ McCarthy, quote, not there yet.
What a strange deal here.
So how do we see this one playing out?
This game would be so much cooler if everybody was healthy. This game would be so much cooler if you had Joe Alt playing. If he's at 100%, this game would be a lot cooler if Amari and Hampton was playing. Like, I just can't help but say, like, man, this game lost a lot of juice when Carson Wentz was announced as the starter again. Because it feels like we're going to keep doing this thing with the Vikings where, like, the team looks good outside of the quarterback, and he just doesn't do enough. So I feel like the Chargers should win here, but I am curious on, like, their defense has been able to get pressure lately. And I think that's going to be a big thing that kind of holds them back defensively, is they're not getting pressure. So they can't get home on sacks. They're giving up a lot of yards on the ground in light boxes, which is the way they want to defend the run. They got to clean up some issues on defense side of the ball. This feels like the team you might want to try and clean those issues up against, because Carson Wentz he's gonna throw you one.
Are we one play away from Max Brosmer? Is he?
I hope so.
Because he kind of looks like Jack Sparrow, and anybody that looks like Jack Sparrow that plays the quarterback position traditionally, Gardner Minshew comes to mind. It's always fun. I mean, it can be fun, and there's great players on the field for both teams. But if you got a guy who can sling the ball around a little bit, it'll be a lot of fun.
I kind of like the Vikings here.
I picked the Vikings.
The Chargers defense at this point in time, it's not the one we saw last year. It's not even close. They're 19th in EPA per play against. They really miss Khalil Mack, right? Like the pass rush. They really miss Juice. They really miss Joey Bosa. Like they miss someone who can win one-on-one consistently there along their defensive line. And I just don't think against the Minnesota Vikings here that this game, Carson Wentz does enough. I'll say it does enough, because I don't think they really need.
I hope so. I picked them.
I think I'm going to pick the Chargers here, because I do not want to bet on Carson Wentz for anything. I don't want to bet on Carson Wentz giving you a game. I do think he's going to turn the ball over a little bit against this defense, but I just have a lot of questions about both these teams, especially with the Vikings and their inability to defend the run and how that sort of silos and like affects them defending deep passing.
All right, let's get to the locks. Locks are sponsored all season long by Cash App. Making money move should be easy, and that's why there's Cash App. It's fast, safe, and honestly just way more personalized than the other apps out there. Kyle, what are your locks this week?
Got a couple locks. Geraldo, you mind chucking those up there? Thank you very much. Okay, we've got Green Bay -2.5 and Chicago +6.5. This is the old NFC North parlay special, and I'll tell you what. Chicago Bears, they kind of remind me of the 2018 squad. Speaking of Micah Parsons' effect on the Green Bay Packers, which also reminds me of the 2018 Bears. In a different way, the Bears have now taken the pressure off their young quarterback, and they're running the football, and they're spreading the ball around at or around the line of scrimmage, but also still threatening down the field with their guys, showing up, shooting the gun every once in a while, letting people know. I like the Bears, man. I like the Bears a lot. JJ Watt, Iron Eagle, 1 o'clock. It's a CBS special. So make sure you tune into that one, Bears fans. And why would you not pick the Packers, right?
You don't think Aaron Rodgers is out for blood against the
I 100% believe that maybe he is out for blood, has made a blood pact, has done some bloodletting, ate some blood.
Vampire Aaron Rodgers would be the funniest thing in the NFL.
He's got that dragon infinity tattoo on his bicep now.
Oh.
Vampire Aaron Rodgers, it'd be like Marvel Zombies, but it's just Aaron Rodgers throwing like 2-yard out routes.
I saw an advertisement for the Golden Bachelor while I was walking through New York City, which is like, as you would imagine, is an elder gentleman looking for love, probably in his 60s, salt and pepper beard, gray hair. I just see in 2050 maybe the Golden Bachelor for Aaron Rodgers.
He's married now. Are you wishing divorce upon him?
I'm not wishing divorce. I thought he was dating. Actually, I didn't realize he was married.
I thought he was married. We don't.
I know he's had a few. I know he's had a few different girlfriends, but I don't know. He just seems like a Golden Bachelor type.
His wife's named Brittany.
I apologize, Brittany and Aaron. I hope it's going well. Maybe you guys can do like a cooking show.
No one knows who her last name is. That's actually
Brittany Rodgers.
That in today's day and age,
he's got an AI wife.
that a guy like Aaron Rodgers can have a wife, and we actually
Harry cut that. But seriously, what was that movie? What was that movie where he fell in love with AI?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Aaron has a mind like that. He's got a beautiful mind. I'm just saying.
Is it just her?
I think it is himself.
Her. Would not surprise me. All right, that's today's show. As we've gone far enough off the rails here, we'll be back tomorrow doing a full preview of the Week 8. Yikes, Week 8, halfway through. I can't even say halfway through the season though, because
I hate that. By the way, there is no halfway. I'll call you on Friday and I'll say halfway through the season.
It feels halfway through the season, but we're at Week 8. We'll do the full preview tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Until next time, keep pushing.